In the bustling city of Enugu, single mother Amaka found herself overwhelmed by work pressures. Her children, 10-year-old Chika and 12-year-old Ada, were beginning to show signs of rebellion at home. With little time for supervision, Amaka decided to send them to the village of Amuchu to live with their grandmother, Mama Ezen, during the school holiday. She hoped the peace of the countryside would instill discipline and cultural values in them. As they boarded the bus, Amaka held their hands tightly and warned them, "Be good, listen to your grandmother, and learn respect." Ada rolled her eyes, uninterested, while Chika fidgeted with his game console. The long journey began, but little did Amaka know that this trip would test everything she believed about parenting. Life in Amuchu was quiet, but it wasn't without its own temptations. With their grandmother's failing eyesight and gentle nature, Ada and Chika roamed freely. They quickly made friends with local children known for skipping chores and talking back to elders. The children introduced Ada to gossip circles and daring dares, while Chika learned to sneak into the village market to play Ludo and steal mangoes. Mama Ezen, though concerned, often excused their behavior. "They're just adjusting," she would say, rocking on her bamboo chair. But things took a worse turn when Ada began refusing to run errands and Chika started shouting at elders in the compound. The change was swift and alarming. Weeks passed, and the children became nearly unrecognizable. Ada started using foul language, mimicking older girls who talked about boys and money. Chika skipped morning prayers and began wearing dirty clothes despite his grandmother's warnings. The village elders noticed and whispered among themselves, concerned for the legacy of Mama Ezen. Mama Ezen was heartbroken but helpless. Her once gentle calls to order now fell on deaf ears. One evening, Ada defiantly told her, "This is not the city, Grandma. You can't control us here." The word struck like a slap. The old woman bowed her head in silent pain, praying for Amaka to return soon. News of the children's behavior spread like harmattan fire. A concerned neighbor, who had visited the village, returned to Enugu and made it a point to see Amaka. "Your children, they have changed, my sister. I saw Ada dancing at a burial like a market woman. And Chika?" He cursed at the village chief's son. Amaka was stunned. She dropped her food tray and stared into space, heart racing. Without a second thought, she took a leave from work, packed her bags, and boarded the next bus to Amuchu. Her mind swirled with guilt and urgency. "What have they turned into?" she whispered. When Amaka arrived at the village, the sight of her children left her speechless. Ada wore heavy makeup and a mini-skirt, chewing gum with one leg perched arrogantly on a stool. Chika ignored her entirely, busy carving his name on a tree with a stolen blade. Mama Ezen could barely look Amaka in the eye. The reunion was not joyful. Amaka called her children and demanded an explanation. Ada rolled her eyes. "We're just enjoying village life," she said with a shrug. That night, Amaka cried bitterly. Her greatest fear had come true, she had lost her children to the very thing she tried to avoid. After a tense discussion with Mama Ezen, Amaka decided to take the children back to the city immediately. Ada protested, and Chika cried, but Amaka was unmoved. "You're not safe here. I need to fix what I've allowed to go wrong." The next morning, the trio boarded the early bus, with Ada sulking and Chika refusing to speak. The ride back was silent, except for the distant honking and the occasional sigh from Amaka. She prayed silently, "Lord, help me guide them. Help me undo what has been done." The city skyline came into view, but home didn't feel like victory, it felt like the start of a long, uphill battle. Amaka wasted no time in establishing structure. Phones were confiscated, chores assigned, and daily devotions made compulsory. Ada was enrolled in a girls' mentorship club at church, while Chika joined a neighborhood taekwondo class known for instilling discipline. At first, the children rebelled. Ada refused to do dishes and Chika threw tantrums. But Amaka didn't budge. She disciplined with love and firmness, explaining every rule and its purpose. "I'm not trying to punish you," she told them one night. I'm trying to prepare you. Slowly, the children began to adjust, though not without setbacks. A turning point came when Ada was caught trying to sneak out to a party with a neighbor. Amaka didn't scream, she simply brought out Ada's old drawings and asked her, "Is this who you wanted to become?" Ada looked at her childhood dream sketch of being a lawyer and broke down in tears. Chika too faced his test. He stole money from the church offering during a youth meeting. The pastor called Amaka in private. Rather than lash out, she made Chika apologize publicly and volunteer at the church for 2 weeks. Humiliated but awakened, he began to change. Weeks passed, and the changes became visible. Ada began reading again and joined the school's debate team. Chika took up drumming at the church and won the Most Improved Behavior award in school. Amaka's heart swelled with pride, not because her children were perfect, but because they were healing. At dinner one night, Ada reached for her mother's hand and whispered, "Thank you for not giving up on us." Chika added, "I like the city again. I feel safe here." For the first time in months, Amaka smiled with peace in her eyes. The storm had not passed completely, but the sun was beginning to shine again. Months later, Amaka decided to take the children back to Umuchu, but this time for a family visit, not a punishment. Ada wore a modest dress and greeted elders respectfully. Chika ran errands and helped Mama Ezen fetch water. The village elders watched in awe. "They've truly changed," they murmured. At the village square, Amaka stood proudly with her mother and children. "Sometimes, we must lose our way to truly understand the value of the right path," she said. The journey was not easy, but through patience, love, and discipline, her children had returned, not just to the city, but to who they were meant to be.